Behind the Red Line, Episode 42, The Vanishing of Jasmine Clark, St. Louis, Missouri, May 2019. In a city crowded with traffic, noise, and late-night chaos, a young woman disappeared into the shadows. Her name was Jasmine Clark, a 32-year-old Black trans woman, sex worker, and survivor trying to carve out a life in a world that gave her nothing but danger. On a quiet night near the Washington Park area, her body was found, murdered, discarded, left as if her life did not matter. No arrests, no justice, no leads strong enough to hold. And the most chilling part? Jasmine wasn't the only one. Around her death, multiple Black trans women in St. Louis were found dead under suspicious and violent circumstances, as if a predator was moving silently through the city, picking off women society refuses to protect. Tonight, we tell Jasmine's story. A woman erased by violence, ignored by police, and buried beneath silence. This is episode 42. This is the story of Jasmine Clark, the case St. Louis wants to forget. Jasmine Clark was bold, funny, vibrant, and full of life. Friends said she lit up every room she walked into. She loved fashion. She loved music. She loved the community that became her chosen family. Jasmine was a Black trans woman living in St. Louis, a place where being trans was already dangerous, and being a trans sex worker was a daily gamble with death. Her life wasn't easy. She faced homelessness, discrimination, poverty, violence, survival sex work, harassment from strangers and police alike. But Jasmine kept going. She built her own support systems. She created her own family. She learned to navigate danger with instinct and courage. That strength is what makes her final moments so unsettling. Because Jasmine didn't go quietly. Something or someone took everything from her. The days leading up to Jasmine's murder were chaotic. She had been moving between neighborhoods, staying with friends, working the night streets, and keeping to familiar corners where she felt somewhat safe. Trans women in the area had been reporting strange activity, men circling in cars, men offering unusually large amounts of money, men asking for rough encounters, men who refused to give names, men who returned night after night looking for the same women. Some suspected a predator. Some believed a trafficking group was involved. Others whispered about a violent, regular targeting trans women specifically. But nothing concrete ever surfaced. On the night of her disappearance, Jasmine was last seen near North Vandeventer Avenue, an area known for trafficking, sex work, and dangerous Johns who often preyed on the vulnerable. Witnesses say Jasmine got into a car. No one knows who was inside, No one ever saw her alive again. May 1st, 2019. A neighborhood on the St. Louis East St. Louis border woke up to sirens. Just after dawn, police responded to a call near an alley by Washington Park, a stretch of cracked pavement, scattered trash, and abandoned lots, the kind of place where secrets rot quietly. There, officers found Jasmine's body. She had been murdered violently. Her wounds suggested a targeted attack, not random violence, not robbery, not an accident. This was rage. This was hatred. This was intentional. The alley around her was empty. No cameras, no witnesses, no trace of the car she got into. Just Jasmine, alone on cold pavement. Her ID was missing. Her phone was missing. Her belongings gone. This was the work of someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Jasmine's death didn't happen in isolation. It was part of a larger pattern, a disturbing one. In the months before and after her murder, multiple Black trans women in St. Louis were found dead. Kenna McFadden, found in the river. Nina Kiana Strother, shot in her apartment. Denali Berries Stuckey, murdered in a field. Malaysia Booker, also killed the same year, linked to national violence. These deaths weren't coincidences. These were attacks on a community already under threat. Advocates insisted there is a predator targeting trans women. Families demanded investigations. The community protested, but police insisted they were isolated incidents. Isolated incidents don't create patterns. Isolated incidents don't cluster around the same demographics. Isolated incidents don't leave the same signature of brutality. Something was happening in St. Louis, something Jasmine may have sensed, but couldn't escape. Several men became persons of interest, but none were charged. Suspect 1, a known violent John. Women in the area reported a man who drove a dark sedan, demanded unprotected sex, threatened women with a weapon, became violent when refused, specifically sought out trans women. Jasmine reportedly avoided him. Some believe he forced her into the car that night. Suspect 2, a local drug dealer. Another rumor linked her death to a man known for trafficking trans women. He had a history of assaulting sex workers, using violence as intimidation, controlling street corners. Some say Jasmine had an argument with him days before her death. Suspect 3, a regular client. Multiple women identified a man who regularly picked up trans sex workers but became unpredictable during encounters. One woman described him as calm at first, then something snaps. This man vanished from the area around the time of Jasmine's murder. All three suspects had motive. All three had patterns of violence. None had enough evidence for a charge. St. Louis police quietly let the case grow cold. On paper, Jasmine Clark was a marginalized woman. She was Black, trans, a sex worker, navigating poverty, moving between unstable housing. These identities placed her at the intersection of multiple prejudices. Her case lacked pressure, media attention, public outrage, police urgency. Some officers reportedly misgendered her from the beginning, erasing her reality. Others brushed off the investigation as street crime. The truth, law enforcement rarely prioritizes murders of trans sex workers. Statistics show these cases have some of the lowest clearance rates in the country. Jasmine didn't just fall through the cracks. She was pushed through them. There is a theory, whispered by advocates, sex workers, and people who lived in Jasmine's world. A serial predator operates in St. Louis, targeting Black trans women. Evidence: same gender identity, same skin tone, same survival job, same neighborhoods, same type of violence, same time frame, same lack of arrests, same pattern of being found outdoors. Some believe Jasmine's killer is responsible for more deaths. Some say the murderer is protected by silence, by community fear, by lack of police concern. Others say she was killed by someone she trusted, a client she'd seen before, someone who turned violent, someone who believed he wouldn't get caught. In the world Jasmine lived in, both theories are terrifyingly credible. Despite the violence surrounding her story, Jasmine was more than her death. She was resilient. She was brave. She carved out joy where she could find it. She created a chosen family who loved her deeply. She survived abuse, discrimination, and hardship over and over again. Friends say she loved bright colors. She joked constantly. She protected younger girls on the street. She had dreams of leaving the life. She wanted to transition fully. She wanted stability, safety, a home of her own. Her life was loud, bold, and beautiful. The exact opposite of the silence that followed her murder. Jasmine Clark deserved more than an alley. She deserved more than a cold case. She deserved justice, and her community deserved answers. Her murder is a reminder of how society decides whose life matters and whose death can be forgotten. A killer is still out there, a story unfinished, a young woman's life reduced to whispers and rumors, but never truth. Her case is not just unsolved, it is ignored, buried, abandoned. Tonight, we refuse to let that happen. This was the story of Jasmine Clark, a woman erased by violence, lost in a system that failed her but remembered here, behind the red line.